Hello, good evening, welcome to Rangers Radio. John, myself, Oxshire on the show tonight is Linda and Bridgeman. How are we doing, boys and girls?
Evening, Oxshire. Evening, Bridgeman. Evening, everyone. Hope you're all well.
Can I say a huge good evening to you two guys in the panel here? Huge good evening to the boys in the lobby and to all the Rangers fans listening in all over the world. Good evening. Welcome to Rangers Radio.
I thought he'd lost his script there, Linda. Would have been knackered.
No.
That poor Linda will no sleep tonight. Seeing your haircut.
Oh, I think she'll like it.
Too much for her.
It's a beautiful...
The bird likes it, that's the main thing.
I think it was done with a ruler. What did you get? A balloon?
No. You don't get nothing. Under COVID rules, you can't get nothing.
Oh dear, not even a lollipop, Bridge, no?
Not even a lollipop, pal. Not even a lollipop.
And I believe, Linda, you all sorted as well, tidied?
Yes, it's funny how just the small things in life, isn't it? You know, the things that you actually take for granted, like a haircut, Ox, can make you feel very happy. So yes.
Well done. Well, you're at a different stage of the process where I live, yeah?
Yeah, that's right. I think you're another week or so before your hairdresser's open down there.
Yes. Well, good, well done. Congratulations to you both, yeah?
Thank you.
Hey, Linda, I've not heard from you. What did you make of Sunday?
Yeah, it was a good performance, Ox. As you guys have said, very professional, got the job done. Very good that he was able to make some changes, bring in some players we probably wanted to see a wee bit more of. Particularly the boy Scott Wright. I thought he played very well, and maybe we'll get to see a bit more of him in the coming weeks. But yeah, 4 good goals, and probably thought we were going to get a few more in the second half. But overall, job done, and on to the next round, and what a game that's going to be.
Yes, I felt sorry for Tucker at phoned in. I don't know if you heard that on Sunday, Linda. He wasn't too pleased. Then we fun it. He'd Rangers to win by more than 4 goals. So half time he was counting his money, you know what I mean?
That's a shame.
Liberty. Send on the ways to the ice cream van. Get whatever you want. I've got my counting up.
I know. And we had a few chances as well, Ox, didn't we, in the second half? And then they started to try and kind of walk the ball into the net a wee bit. So it just looked as if it was going to be 4, and that was it.
I'll bring in Bridge. I know we spoke about it, Bridge, a few times, but what pleased me, no particularly the result. I expected a similar result. In fact, I think I went for 6. But what pleased me was constantly the tempo we played at Bridge to try and get the ball back. We used it as the way it should be. It was a training game for us, ultimately, but we played at a tempo that there was something in it for the team.
Yeah, most assuredly. They looked great. The first 10 minutes was, you could say it was getting fine for legs. Don't get involved in any silly tackles, blah, 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 and just get your feet. And they did. And within 20 minutes, we started to motor a wee bit. And of course, you're getting the goals, and the goals seemed to just keep coming and coming. It was just a marvellous, the electric pace we were showing. That young boy, Wright, absolutely top of the tree for that. Absolutely excellent stuff. With a great tempo to our game and great passing skills, really there to see for everybody. Second half, as has been said, they kind of foot off the gas a wee bit, but still attempted to do some smashing runs and passes, which was really good to see by our club. But it didn't really matter. Obviously, we wanted to score, but if it didn't happen, the game was won.
Just the way we keep getting the ball back under and going, it's just he's got a wee bit of discipline in the team, and I was pleased that the attitude shown, and Kamara moved into midfield, and the boy Wright, I think we were all just wanting him to score a goal under just to give him a boost.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he got man of the match, Ox, but that would probably just have topped off his performance if he could have got a goal. And he had a couple of shots in the second half. You could see he was kind of desperate, to get off the mark. But like you were saying there about the tempo, and Bridge was saying too, sometimes when you make quite, a few changes, you worry if the tempo's going to be there, and you didn't want to end up being a kind of game that we were struggling to get a goal and you start to get nervous. But really, we should have been maybe 2 or 3 up even within the first 10 minutes. So when they got that first goal, great finish by Defoe, they went on, and as you say, they kept the tempo up, and a couple of good goals for Roof, and And obviously the young boy Patterson, he took his goal brilliantly, and it was nice to see him getting another game too.
Mm-hmm. All right, I just want to change the subject just slightly, if that's all right with you two, and I want to pay tribute to Glenn Kamara, the way he conducted himself on national television today. I don't know if you saw it on the ITV news, but what a very cool customer, eloquent, and kept his cool and handled the situation very, very well. I don't know if any of you two seen it. It was on the national ITV news, yeah. It's on again at 10 o'clock.
I watched it.
The second story after COVID, big story in Glenn Kamara.
I think, is that not telling us that the national TV is getting more and more interested in what's actually happening vis-a-vis the racism thing? By the look of this, the way they've shown it and depicted it on the line, I think it was Zungu that actually had it first. You see, he reacted straight away, and then Kamara did. Yes, I agree with you, 100%. Hats off to him. Well done, pal. I did say this in the sort of view from the bridge. I mentioned, well done, Glenn Kamara, for finishing against him. When we played that team, he stayed on the park because a lot of teams, and I think their manager might have helped him if he wanted to say, "Let's go, just let's go."
He did say that. He would, in hindsight, he would have maybe come off, and some people have said that, but there's two sides to a coin, and what you do at the time, obviously it's easy to be wise in hindsight, Linda, but fair play to the lad for the way he's conducted himself.
Yes, he's absolutely conducted himself brilliantly, Ox, in what must be a very, very difficult situation for him in terms of what's happened. He's been supported well by the club too. His manager's backing him, everybody from the top of the club to his players, his teammates, all the staff he's getting backing. And he's obviously will be getting that from his family and his close friends too. But he's been absolutely brilliant the way that he's handled it. And as I said, it must be really, really difficult for him. And hopefully, there'll be a satisfactory resolution for him going forward, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But yeah, he's handled himself with real class and dignity.
Yep, we stand by you, Glenn Kamara. We stand by you.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, okay. I was sent a question today. Great news for the club yesterday. James Tavernier signed the extension to his contract, Linda.
Yeah, delighted to hear that, Ox. I think we spoke about the players' contracts a few weeks ago, and we all said that he was definitely one that we were looking for the extension to be had. So that was terrific news.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's been ways, but 2015, Mark Warburton signed him. When he walked in the door, when you seen him at Hibs, he'd some start to his Rangers career, but you thought he'd still been with us 6 years ago. Linda, then Bridge.
I'm not so sure, Ox, and I don't know if it was just because of that period that we came through as well, desperately trying to win things again and, getting ourselves back to the top of the tree, etc. But he always looked a good player, and in my opinion, he needed better players around him, and that's what he's got now. So maybe didn't see it at the time, but I'm so glad that he has signed the extension, and hopefully he's going to be here to the end of that. And it'll be 9 years he'll have been with us, and that's quite a good bit of longevity in this day and age,
Bridgeman?
Yeah, echo everything that's been said there. Look, he came in under Warburton, and I think he was in the first attempt to get into the, shall we say, up to the top league, and we didn't get there.
No, the other way around.
It was the other way around, right? Okay, so
he got up. Yeah,
he got us up. So I'm in the Waghorn and people like that. They came in roughly the same time.
Mm-hmm.
They got us through it because it was tough. And the Rangers had a really tough time coming through the leagues. And it was really tough. So hats off to them. They got us through there. And there he's there. The guy's still there. And I think a season later, Big Golson signed.
No, you're away.
When did he sign?
2018, Bridge. 3 years later.
So 15. Yeah, 3 years of difference. Yeah. So I think he did well by us.
You've lost your magical powers when they've cut your hair off.
I'm a wee bit higgledy-piggledy, as you say. I think sometimes used to get mixed up with, because of the boy I like the boy Forrester. Remember Forrester that signed roughly the same time?
He should have stuck to the furniture shop.
Yeah, absolutely. I quite liked him. One a great goal he scored against them, that mob in the first minute of the game, first 2-3 minutes, whatever it was. Smashing game. Really good. Lit the place up and away we went. However, we got caught and leathered, you know.
You just liked the song, didn't you?
I did. I loved that. I loved the atmosphere. It generated a huge atmosphere, a new type of atmosphere for Rangers, and it was a song that was being sung in lots of countries for lots of teams. Truth be told, I hope we start singing it next year on the European Cup. Hope we start singing it then. Get the troops rising up, you know. I just love these things. You know.
Warburton's Magic, that was one of your favourites.
Oh yeah, Warburton's Magic as well. Sorry, I was thinking we're on our way to Baku, we're on our way. I like that one. I like it. Warburton is magic, he wears a magic hat.
James Tavernier, 284 games, 4 substitutes appearance. First season 50, 43, 45, 56, 46 and 40 this year. Maybe time to sell. And for a fullback, 63 goals, 29 penalties. Good return, Linda.
Oh, absolutely fantastic. And this is obviously the kind of a first time he's had an injury as well, Ox. I know he was out for a wee while perhaps last year, but when you look at all those sorts of games, that's the numbers that you're looking for, probably your captain and your sort of most important players to actually play in a season. And I think we have obviously missed them. You've got young Nathan that's come in and we've seen a bit more of him, but those stats are absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, there's 29 penalties you said, but think of some of the other goals that he scored as well, these free kicks and getting in at the back post, a real kind of a mix of goals. But no, he's been a really, really great signing for us. I think everybody's, as I said, so glad that he signed this extension.
Particularly Foxbridge, man, eh?
Yes. I think I remember he scored a smashing goal at Ibrox against them, and it was only in the first few minutes of Kent had run down and get leathered again. Twice he got leathered, took out the game, and from that free kick he put the ball in towards the far post, and the keeper thought the defender was getting it or something like that, and it was straight into the net. Well, you couldn't believe it, you know. You just couldn't believe it. It was just fabulous, just fantastic. What a game that was for us. Brilliant.
Yeah, he scored 17 goals this season, and obviously he's missed a few games, so God, he could have been sitting on 20 goals for a fullback, which is just ridiculous.
Yeah, actually, his record is ridiculous when you consider it. It's just ridiculous. Nobody has got these figures. Very, very few. Even the best English fullbacks haven't got that type of record. And it's just wonderful that we've got somebody that can do that. And I wish him well with his injury and his comeback. I hope it happens very quickly, and I hope he gets playing again if possible before the end of the season, so that he can go up there and pick up the trophy.
Only if he's right, but
of course we don't want any more injuries for him. No more injuries.
Only if he's right.
But he's some athlete, and he was always able to dodge it. He had very quick feet when it came to these people going in for a tackle, and some of them he completely bottled, if you follow what I mean. But invariably he managed to jump out the way of it, or get over the guy's leg and so on and so forth, and somehow or other came along with the ball.
Yeah,
just great.
30 this year, Bridge, you know what I mean?
Yes, and it's 30 is a tough age, a very tough age for everybody, male and female, because things start to harm to your legs. 30.
Well, the question I'm asking you, so I'm going to ask you, and we're going to open the phone lines in a second, and the question I'm putting to you to James Tavernier, by the time if he completes his career, he's getting close to a testimonial. He'll be with us for 9 seasons, you know, and obviously 10 traditionally was the when you go potential for a testimonial. Not that we've had one for a long, long time, but what makes you a legend at the club? What makes you a legend? Longevity, performances, success, how you carry yourself, all these things, a snapshot in time. whatever. One man's legend is another man's nobody. But what makes you a legend? So you have a quick think while we open the phone lines. Let's hear from you.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show. It's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Nice, easy question for you, Linda.
Yes, it is, Ox. I mean, I think, a number of things are, could determine whether somebody's a legend. And I think a couple of, the first ones that kind of a jump out, as you've said there, is perhaps the number of appearances, somebody's longevity, the number of years that they've been at the club. But would that need to also come along with trophies? Would they had to have won something? Would they had to have won a number of trophies? So you've got a number of things to consider. And then on the other side of that, you've got maybe perhaps somebody who was with us for maybe not a long period of time, but actually made quite a significant contribution. Perhaps scored quite a number of goals that won as a league title, scored a winning goal in a League Cup final. Something like that. I mean, Nikica Jelavic is just somebody that springs to mind as perhaps an example of that. So for me, there is quite a number of things. And as you said, some people will say that somebody's a legend and we might not agree with them. So there's a number of things, I think, that could be taken into consideration.
Well, Bridgeman's always pointed out the pigeons when we beat St Mirren in that league.
Oh, yes. that pigeon that told the ball, look, right, follow me, I'll take it, went right in there. That was great, by the way. Down to 9 men, scored the winner. Fantastic. Couldn't beat it. But no, seriously, from a legendary status, is in the eyes of the beholder. The fans will decide who's the legend in their eyes. And I think people like, from way back in the 50s, 60s, people like Jim Baxter, John Gregg was a legend, of course. And it's all there. What they did for Rangers is what they gave to the club. And as far as I'm concerned, they gave everything. Willie Henderson. So you've got a lot of players that played for the Rangers that would, in fact, get legendary status by me or maybe you, So you might not like Henderson, but like Davy Wilson, and so on and so forth. You could do all that and you could end up with a full team as legends. And I think when you follow that through to the great era of under Souness and then Advocat, you had some guys in there that did a great deal of work for the Rangers. Really, I think I'm talking Gaza, Laudrup, just massive names. Mark Hateley, great stuff. Ali McCoist, of course, standout, legendary status, unbelievable. In today's era, I would suggest that Tavernier isn't far behind if he's not already there as a Rangers legend. I would suggest that. He's done nothing wrong.
Tavernier's had 50 more appearances and scored nearly 40 more goals than Jim Baxter.
Of course. Jim Baxter wasn't a centre forward.
There's James Tavernier.
No, but he wasn't a centre forward. I mean, there's really no much to compare against. He set goals up. He created a lot of assists. He did all these things and scored goals. Admittedly, a couple of them were penalties. But Baxter was, for Rangers, phenomenal. Phenomenal for Rangers. Just phenomenal. Any Rangers supporter...
so it was his play then?
Yes, what he gave to Rangers. He gave us an icon. He gave us himself as an icon. And we didn't have to get behind him, for sure. Mm-hmm. What he did afterwards is a different thing. That's a different thing.
Actually, there is similarities. I didn't realise that. If we take away when Slim Jim came back, Bridge, because I think we'd accept that he wasn't the player he was. Yeah, is that fair?
That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
Right, okay. He had the exact same number of seasons that James Tavernier's had so far. Yeah. Yeah,
absolutely. But he wasn't a quarter player.
I'm not saying he was, but all I'm saying is when you look at just pure numbers. Yeah. When you look at pure numbers, and obviously he was competing against top sides in Europe. We were competing against the creme de la creme then,
Yeah.
We're still against top sides, but it just shows you can make stats mean anything you want, yeah?
In a way, yes, you can. And as I say, there are certain players, and I'm sure that some of the guys that they phone up tonight, you'll hear guys Skipper used to fall in love greatly with Nicky Law. He absolutely loved Nicky Law. He thought Nicky Law was a legend. There you go.
Right, okay, you sure that wasn't Jude Law?
Jude Law, maybe. Well done, pal. No, if you go through some of the players that we've had and what they've done for Rangers, just amazing stuff, you know. Some of the great, Big Terry Butcher. A lot of folks don't like him anymore.
Bob? Was he a legend?
I'm saying Big Terry Butcher could have been in legendary status for Rangers because he came up and he captained the team. He was only in 4 years or something like that, but the thing is, he carried his, he lifted his, carried his on his shoulder whenever he went. He was a real warrior and a captain, and that's the kind of thing I like to see. So for me, I would say Butcher was a Rangers legend. He wasn't a long-term legend. He wasn't like, you know, he never played for us for 10 years or anything like that and did the business, but he did the business for the few short years he was there, and there must be numerous others, you know.
Okay, so Linda, who was the last legendary player we had then?
The last legendary player, out with this current team.
No, but if you want to put this current side in it, it's up to you.
Well, I was actually thinking about the fact that, you know, we talked about the number of trophies, Ox, but could it also be the significance of what somebody actually won or a team actually won? So, for example, the team that has won us 55. So, if they played a part in bringing that title to Rangers, because arguably we've said that it's probably the most important title we've won, you know, for a long time, if not the most important title. So could it be like a team's achievement and the significance of that? And another example would be maybe the 9 in a row team or the team that won the European Cup Winners' Cup. So for me, that question, Matt, are
you telling me that Willie Matheson's a legend then?
Perhaps not. I don't know. It depends. Has it got to be that they played a significant role in even one of those teams that I've just mentioned there? Mm-hmm. You know, so the 55 team, somebody who played only 4 appearances in the 55 team, they maybe not be a legend. So again, there's all sorts of different sort of examples of what could be a legend. But
right, get off that fence. Who was the last legend?
Tavernier for me.
Right, Tavernier, that's fine. Bridgman.
I would suggest Alan McGregor.
Oh, there's a shout, Linda.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know he's legendary with his nickname, but we'll keep that away from the show. It's a family show. But well, his longevity, Linda. I mean, he keeps going for another season. We win the cup. Alan McGregor's in the sticks. He goes next year. Hopefully, gets his 56. You've got to start looking at him taking over for the goalie.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And also he comes under, you know, his ability, you know, because obviously, you know, Bridge was talking about Jim Baxter and elevating us to another level. His sheer ability that he had. I mean, if you think about McGregor, he also comes under that category. And if you think about the important saves that he's made as well, Ox, so he probably gets legendary status because of a number of factors, in my opinion.
That's it. That was a great shout, Bridgman. Where did you dig that one up for?
I'll give you another one. Stephen Davis.
Oh.
I'll tell you what, in my eyes, and I would suggest that nobody could deny that man legendary status at Rangers. Nobody. That's my opinion.
That's a fair shout. He sort of crosses, the two of them crossed the eras for the 2008 team to the 55 team. I get where Bridge is coming for there, Linda.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you just think about the impact that both of them have had, you know, they were very significant in their first times at the club, but they were brought in obviously by Gerrard, and we were quite happy to see them back at the club. They brought experience, they had won things before, and now they're part of a championship winning team again. Absolutely. Yeah, that's two great shouts, Bridge.
Yeah, I'll give you that, Bridge. That haircut hasn't done you any hair, mate.
Thank you, gentlemen. Ladies, thank you. A compliment about my hair as well. Fantastic.
It let the sun get to his head. The solar panels working. That's what the problem was before.
Brilliant.
Oh dear.
But that's what I was saying. Like a lot of folk would say, no Davis and no Davis and that kind of thing. And maybe they're right. I don't know. I just feel he's most assuredly, for me, he's a definite legend at the club. Definitely a legend. And you know who's to me, who's actually starting to become legend for me is Alfredo Morelos, because that guy again, he's getting a carry. What he's done for the club in the last 2 seasons is just outstanding stuff. Outstanding. That's the way I look at it anyway.
I get where you're coming for there, but potential there for Morelos. If he was to stay for another couple of years and get numbers, Linda, you wouldn't maybe argue, especially if he scored as the goal at one as a cup or something like that. Yeah, it would elevate him, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and that's another kind of a thing to consider. It's record-breaking players as well, isn't it, Ox? You know, players that have broke records for goal scoring, that sort of thing. You know, obviously Alan McCoist has definitely got legendary status. And if you think about Alfie, you know, he broke McCoist's European record this year, didn't he? But he's not quite got the numbers. But he's now got a trophy. He's now got a league championship medal that he can say he's won. So he's maybe on his way to perhaps being categorised as a legend. But somebody like McCoist, no comparison. And somebody you guys always talk about, is it Jim Forrest from the past?
Yeah, Jim Forrest isn't even in the Hall of Fame.
Wow.
He's not even in the Hall of Fame because he said he didn't have a longevity. Mr. Fox is going to come in and join us. Pop in. How we doing, Mr. Fox? Oh, he was there.
Evening.
How we doing, mate?
I mean, I'm listening to your subject there, and I'm afraid I've got to disagree with a lot of what's been saying. I think the word legend has been used out of all context in football now. I think you've got to be somebody that's done extremely valuable things for the club to be a Rangers club legend. I would say people like Scott Simon,
Paul Struth,
yep. On the manager side, Walter. Who else have we got?
Oxtia.
No. on the playing side, I would say John Gregg for his longevity and what he gave to the club. Wally Waddle as well for the work he done in winning a European champion, Cup Winners' Cup trophy, and for the work that he done in rebuilding Ibrox.
And as a player, mate, and as a player. And people like Sandy Jardine, who served us as a great football player, but also done a lot of work helping to revive the club and everything else before he sadly passed away. I think to term other players like Gascoigne and Laudrup as legends of the club is totally wrong. They were great players, but not legends in my eye. Over to you, Bridgeman.
No, it's just what we were saying earlier. Some folk viewed legend status as different to others, you know. In my opinion, my own opinion, it would be, I would say that Gascoigne and Laudrup were outstanding for Rangers, and they gave everything for us and won us a lot of trophies, a lot of silverware, and there's a fully deserved legendary status. They were legends to the Rangers fans, I know, and I'm a Rangers fan, so now no disrespect to what Fox is saying. I've said earlier on, there's some folk just don't see it that way, they don't look at it that way, and they don't see any. Probably people who are playing in their game today would never be legends because they haven't done it in the past, type of thing, you know. So I don't know whether he thinks Tavernier's a legend. Tavernier's a legend to me. Fantastic player.
Oh, even although much as I love Tav, mate, I wouldn't call James Tavernier a Rangers legend. There you go.
Would you say he would be a legend if he stayed for the next 5 years and became part of the fabric of the club and drove us on to more success? Would that elevate him for you?
I just think you've got to be more than a player, mate. You've got to do exceptional things for the club. That's just my opinion, I'm afraid. And I think that every time you read forums, etc., and this player's a legend and that, some of them were at Ibrox for 2 to 3 years, and the phone's gone and I'll need to drop out, guys.
I'll let you get it, mate. I'll let you get it. It's a point of view, Linda. It's a point of view. Big debate starting here. There's going to be a scrap, mate.
I mean, I can see what Fox is saying there, Ox, in terms of, it has to be quite a significant contribution, both on the, part, behind the scenes, being an ambassador for the club. But it just depends, what your description of legendary status is. And as Bridge says, it's all down to individuals. The players that won 55 will be legends for a lot of Rangers fans because of the significance of it. I mean, we were desperate for that league title.
Would they be part of a legendary team that maybe no legend as individuals, if that makes sense, yeah? Yeah,
it makes perfect sense. I think that's a spot-on way to put it, Ox, absolutely.
Yeah, but I get you. I mean, obviously we can't speak highly enough of, obviously, the boy Goldston. I don't think he's missed a minute, and Alan McGregor, what we talked about, part of the team in 2007, 8 season, then 3 league winners, and then him and Stephen Davis have come back 9 years later and took us to the league. Anyway, we've been joined by Ian. Evening, Ian.
Evening. No bad, thanks. I was just listening to your legend status if you can through the years.
Yes.
And one of your panel saying there on there that he doesn't think Tavernier is a sort of a legend. I would put him sort of in that category because he's been there for day one for Rangers and he's been through the bad times and he could have walked at any time and he's stuck by Rangers and he's benefited out of that with getting title 55 that he's going to loft. Do you know what I mean? And I think we've all got our own opinions. I'm 62, so I've got my opinions on different legends through the years, like Big John Gregg, Wally Henderson. I even was a big, massive fan of Colin Steen. I wouldn't say legends, but I mean great footballing players, just like Laudrup was, Gascoigne was. But my main legend, I would say, for Glasgow Rangers was Big John Gregg.
Was that the longevity for you? Because obviously, for the early 60s through to 78,
it was the length of time that he was there and he stuck with Rangers. And I just think, well, they built the statue of him and it was well,
fitting.
What's the right word I'm trying to say?
Fitting.
Well fitting for the man to be the thing we'd up there as a statue, because to me, John Gregg is Rangers. Do you know what I mean? He is Rangers to me. But to go on about the legend parts, I think everybody's got their own opinions over the years, depending what age you are. Because a lot of folk, a lot younger than me, will not remember these people, so they've got their own legends. But I still think Tav is sort of a border on that because of the length of time he's been there and stuck it out thick and thin through the bad, the worst times, the terrible times. And you've got to say that the longer he's been there, he's getting better and better and better. And he could have walked at any time in it, isn't he?
Well said, Ian. We've also been joined by young Gary. Evening, Gary.
Good evening, gangs. Sorry, I'm just jumping in just to a brilliant subject, by the way.
Hey, Gary.
Hi, how are you all doing? I'm not staying long. It was just it says when you were talking about the legends and stuff like that, it just got me thinking and that. And it says, Bridgeman makes a good point. Everybody sees legends status as all different kinds of things, and for me, I think it's like impact on the club for me. Like, how big an impact have they had in our club? What have they done to help us? And to be honest, I think our current manager is going to, in years to come, when I'm going to be sitting probably talking to my kids and stuff like that, I'm going to be telling them about Steven Gerrard being a legend at Ibrox, because he was a man that's came in and totally reformed our footballing department, got us 55 and got us back to a standard that every Rangers fan recognises for me.
Can I come in on that just for a second?
Yeah, of course.
CB in the lobby has put out saying, what about Dave King? Now, I'm 100% behind that. 100% behind that.
Obviously, listen, there's only one thing goes against Dave King, isn't there? Yeah, and you know what it is, Bridgie, and I know what it is. It's the same as Skipper and Fox. That's how we have to look up differently. Yeah. You know, answer me, Bridge.
I'm laughing. I'm so sorry. I'm sitting there laughing. I think
that's
Dave King.
The only thing. That's the only thing. You need to check your change, wouldn't you?
Well, of course. But I think Dave King, above all, he fought at the top level of the club, and he fought all the way through to get us free of a whole load of bandits, and he got us through. And he did the business. He put a lot of money into the club, and
twice.
I would suggest that he would be a good candidate for legendary status for Glasgow Rangers.
Here.
That's that. I think that's the point that Fox was making about Wally Waddle, Bill Struth, maybe who built the fabric of the club, helped build the fabric of the club. Aye, what do you think of that, GB? Then Linda.
Aye. Like these guys, definitely. That's what I'm saying. It's for me, the status comes with what you've done for our club. Like you're bringing up Dave King and stuff like that. He's got rid of, like Bridgeman saying, a lot of folk that were tearing our club apart. He came in when at a time that we were desperate and needing investment and stuff like that, and he's brought us back to the brink. But it's a hard one. Like even when you're talking about Tav as well, it's like he's a captain that's won his 55. I mean, and he's got a guy that's gave us great service. So I don't know, how do you outweigh him between like somebody like Barry Ferguson as well? You know what I mean?
Linda?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's, as Gary said earlier, it's impact. It's a great shout for Gerrard. He's won one trophy, right enough, but the impact he's made at the club has been absolutely fantastic. And it's how we see the club just now, and he's played a major part in that. As you say, Gary, he's came in and, he didn't win anything for the first couple of seasons. We were all desperate for a trophy, but all the work that was going on behind the scenes, he seems to have been a bit of a driver on that, in terms of, putting foundations in for the club, bringing on the training facilities, signing players. A lot of players wouldn't have come if Gerrard wasn't the manager. So I think it's quite a broad range in terms of how you would describe legend. It's on and off the park for sure.
What do you think of that? Gerrard, bit of a shout really, isn't it? I know he's not been that long, but
Gerrard, I mean, for the way he's brought this team over the last 3 years to, can he go to Parkhead and even play football? To go there and play them off the park, most of the times, apart from 2 games, one game at Parkhead, and one at Ibrox, and they still haven't beat us yet. So, I mean, he has got legendary status for what he has done for this club, because he brought this club for the brink of nothing to winning a historical 55 titles. No matter what that other lot say, it's only number one. Doonan, in fact, in law, it's title 55, and it's history, and they can read it and weep it all they want, because Timmy Kears will never go away.
Well said, Ian. But obviously he's not got longevity. But if he starts building, it's where he took his fate, and that's the feat that he's done,
Aye, and the money that's going to come into this club sooner or later. There's going to be players going out. There's going to be players coming in. There's going to be better players coming in, and we know that. And Gerrard will get them, and this is going to go on to our better Rangers team. Do you know what I mean? And we're going into the Champions League, and I can see us doing well in that, and making more money there. Again, it's going to be a roll-on thing, like more money, more world-class players, and we're going to go way back to the days when we had the 9 in a row, when Celtic thought they were just going to stroll through 100 in a row, and we just stopped them with bringing in a great team, and that was slowly built up too. And then when we got the team together, it was just rampant 9. And I honestly can see if Gerrard stays for a good few years, that even when he leaves, if he does leave, that this Rangers team will keep going and keep going and keep going. And I can't see Celtic touching us for a good few years before they can even give us a decent game and beating us.
Well, Ian, if you're right, you'll be a legend.
Very good, very good. Yeah. I have to say, I agree with you with Mr. Gerrard. I think that's Sir Stephen Gerrard.
Yes, Sir Gerrard.
He will be. Jesus, you know, where were we? Before he came, we were bumbling about with manager, didn't know what we were doing, you know. And then all of a sudden, the man walks into Ibrox and there's 8,000-9,000 people there, and I was one of them. And there was many on here on this show were there as well. And I tell you what a sight to see! What a sight! And he has never disappointed us. In the first season, look what he did in the European area and in the Europa League. Took us a long way. Second year took us even further, and third year took us a lot better players and all the rest of it. Fantastic! What an achievement! And they
see that first season, Bridger, obviously winning the league is his top feat. But see that first season getting us into that group stages, that's got to be a close second, eh?
Outstanding, absolutely outstanding. He's not in the door 10 minutes, if you follow what I mean. And all of a sudden he's breaking down barriers in Europe and qualifying teams from our level. Just couldn't do before. And there you are, the man's done it. Amazing, just amazing. So for me, I agree with you, 100% legend, Steven Gerrard.
Aye. See if it wasn't for the 2 mistakes we made in the Benfica game, the letting in the late goals. I mean, that would have been an outstanding finish to that group. Outstanding. Because they were playing outstanding. And we just let away sloppy goals near the end of the game because we thought we'd killed it off. But apart from that, I mean, out in Europe, they've played some amazing stuff, and I've not seen them playing amazing stuff like that for Christ knows how long, a long time. And and they were enjoying it, they were loving it, they were playing great football, attacking, any of this defensive thing that Walter Smith used to do, this 5-1 thing and try and defend all the way through to a final that we lost. I mean, this is an attacking team that could really go places.
Aye, good to watch. Aye, well said, Ian, well said. I'm just
please.
What's that, mate?
Can I just give a shout out to 2 people?
Aye, me and Bridger here. You're all right, mate.
Yeah, a big shout out to RFC. That's no use to, no. To RFC 55, PW, Stephen 88, Big Malky, Stevie Wan, and Nicola, and any others that I've missed.
That's 5 people.
Well, his arithmetic's worse than yours.
And every Rangers fan in the whole world is listening. And God bless them all.
It's great to hear from you, Ian. It's always enjoy when you come on, mate. It's good to hear from you, mate. How you keeping all right?
Aye, I'm keeping no too, but I wasn't well for about a week there. I was on your show, but I was just watching the comments. I wasn't coming on the phone because I wasn't feeling too good.
You're feeling better?
I'm feeling a wee bit better this week, aye, but I've got another MRI scan to go on Friday to see how far my dementia's moving, so I'm looking forward to that in a while, if you know what I mean.
You know we're all here for you, mate, and we're up on for you, you know that, yeah?
Oh, aye, definitely, I know that. And I've met some amazing people. I tell you that the last time, it's this programme that keeps me going, and I've met amazing people. And
we really appreciate people like yourself, mate. We do.
Aye. I mean, it's. I know you're making it for the fans, but as I tried to tell you the last time, it's what you do that get people like me to look forward to this 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. Do you know what I mean? Nothing will stand in my way. I couldn't give a monkey's for a football match to somebody would. I will always be on here, even if it's only on the comments, chatting to my mates down below. And I've met all these mates by coming on this programme, and it's just been amazing. And it's helped me a hell of a lot since I come on here. And I can only applaud you.
No. You're part of this. You come on the show, you've made your call, you've phoned in. That's what it's all about, Linda. It's the people that make this show, innit?
Oh, absolutely. And it's great to hear from you, Ian. All the shout outs you gave, that's all the people that comment on YouTube. I've seen some of those guys before when I've listened via YouTube, so it's great. The audience for Rangers Radio is wide, and it's over a number of platforms. It's like the one big family, and it really is.
Oh, aye. That's what it is. I call it my family when I come on here. You know what I mean?
Can I come in a wee bit, Alex? Yeah,
on you go, Bridge.
Listen, Ian, it's just thank you very much. I'm going to assure you now, everybody you've said, how it's doing, what the effect it has on you. It's a real compliment to Rangers Radio and all the people involved in it. So I would say thank you very much from the Bridgeman and from everybody else, I would suggest. But seriously, that's what we're here for. We're here for you, the fans. That's what we're here for. You get to and say what you want, except don't swear, please.
I know.
Only because it slipped out your mind, mate. Here's a question for you, and I'll give this to you, mate, right?
Right.
And I've been sent it. It's a bit tongue-in-cheek. It's from Mr. Fox. You know what he's like. He's always trying to stir up, right? He said, is Jimmy Bell a Rangers legend? Never kicked a ball for us, but God, he does it. Washes a nice strip, doesn't he? Right, so is Jimmy Bell... Is he a legend?
Jimmy Bell is definitely a Rangers legend.
Kitman, brilliant.
And he's never kicked a ball.
He's certainly got the longevity anyway, Ox, hasn't he? And he's a character. Everybody seems to love Jimmy Bell, and as you say, he looks after the kit. We're laughing, but it's probably one of the most important roles.
I heard that Jimmy Nichols said that when he was running the team, Jimmy Bell was in his ear. He thought it was Jose Mourinho.
Brilliant.
Apart from
very good.
He spelled, was it Roof?
Right, lads, I'm going to go for doing. Enjoy the rest of your night, and I'll be on the comments below. And thanks for having me on.
Cheers, Ian. You look after yourself. Keep in touch, yeah?
Indeed.
I will do. And thanks a lot, the lot of yous, every one of yous. I appreciate it.
Cheers, Ian. What a nice man. Carry on, Linda, and then we'll go to GB.
No, I was just saying, Ox, apart from when Jimmy Bell he got the spelling wrong, the roof shut, didn't he?
I bet he gets some stick for that, Linda.
But I was just thinking about, what Fox was saying about legendary status, and he didn't necessarily agree with some of the players that we mentioned, but when you think about players that have just totally lit up, the team lit up Ibrox when we've been watching them, players like Gaza, Laudrup, and there's probably a lot of fans that would put Paul Gascoigne and Brian Laudrup definitely down as legends because of the absolute skill and the great play that they brought to the teams,
Gaza was 3 seasons, 2.5 years really in reality.
Yeah,
he didn't play much his final third. I mean, I don't know what you think. I always think that if we hadn't get rid of him, we'd have won 10 in a row, but you can never answer that, Linda.
Aye, that's right. And I think when Gascoigne talks about that, I don't think he really wanted to leave. And I think it was kind of put to him that we needed to bring in some funds, Ox, round about that time. But I'm with you on that. I think if he'd stayed, we probably would have won 10 in a row.
But interesting. How's Gaza? Any thoughts?
Well, it's good that he's bring up Gaza because it both ties in with Jimmy Bell as well. Like when Gaza turned back up to see Steven Gerrard and all that in the team, and he's video on Rangers TV. When you get him going out his way to go and find Jimmy Bell and shake his hand and stuff like that kind of tells you that Paul Gascoigne shows him respect. So I could probably give him legendary status as well. It's been a part of the club. And then Gascoigne himself, and you've got our boss walking up saying, go and get your boots on and stuff like that, and saying this is a proper footballer. I mean, how can you argue with that when you've got a guy like Steven Gerrard saying that he's a better football player than me? You know what I mean? So, like he says, everybody's got their own opinions on it. I would certainly, for their contribution in winning 9 in a row and stuff like that, Laudrup and Gascoigne have got to be up there. Even McCoist to a certain extent. Is McCoist a legend as well?
Ian Ferguson, Richard Gough, they were there already every season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Graham Souness, can you say he's a legend?
Oh, same thing. Maybe done the same job as Stevie G's done, turned for fortunes around, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. It's
Fernando
it's
Rickson.
Remember fondly. There's a difference, yeah.
Aye.
Yeah, remember fondly. But again, Linda, he captained us to win the league 2005 Helicopter Sunday. Wrexham as a captain.
Yeah, one of the best days ever as far as being a Rangers fan is concerned, Ox, when you think about Helicopter Sunday. It was an amazing day and the absolute joy it brought to everyone. So, as Gary said, it depends what you consider legendary status in terms of how you view it and how it affected you even as a person or as a Rangers fan. So, Fernando Rickson, people wouldn't, a lot of people wouldn't argue with that, I don't think.
Linda, can I ask you something? Do you think, see for me, see if I was going forward in years to come, Gerrard will stick out for me to speak about, highly of, if you mean, as a legend at Rangers, and it's the same with Paul Gascoigne forevermore, and Laudrup, David Cooper, McCoist. I mean, all these kind of guys, they all will be names that you'll always talk about, I think, for linked to Rangers. Walter Smith, I think they'll always be there. So I think for me, that's kind of a legend thing, because you'll be speaking about them for years. You've obviously mentioned Steen and stuff like that tonight as well. I don't really know him, but to talk about. But I imagine back then he was seen as a legend, and it's probably modern day now where I'm seeing Steven Gerrard is going to be my guy that I'll be talking about when I'm an old man, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally agree with that, Gary, because I remember my dad talking about Colin Steen, and obviously Ox and Fox and, Bridgeman talk about him fondly.
Whoa, he's a tiger.
Maybe it's no for memory.
Ox is with me.
Maybe it's no for memory, Ox. But somebody even like John Gregg you mentioned there, Gary. I mean, I didn't see a lot of John Gregg, but I can totally understand why the guys think he's, possibly legendary status. Ali McCoist, to me, I grew up with him. And
Ali McCoist, Chris Woods. Well, we wonder there.
That's it, and absolutely, Ox, I'm not denying that. But see somebody like Steven Gerrard, Gary, I would absolutely talk about him in the future, because what he's done is brought us that 55th title at a time when we absolutely needed it. It was a real must for us this year, wasn't it? And the fact that he delivered it, I mean, it might be an exaggeration, but I think he probably is already a legend in most of our eyes.
I think, for Linda, you're right. See, you mentioned it earlier, you're talking about the most important title probably in our history.
Yeah.
And if you weigh up everything, you're talking funds that he had at his disposal. Where, Ox mentioned, he's just stepping in through the door and getting us into Europe. He built a team that probably didn't really know each other, and they managed to get into Europe. We had teams that were already together that couldn't even manage that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's for me, like I say, he'll be a guy that will always be spoke about. That, can you remember when Steven Gerrard joined Rangers and stuff like that, and remember what he done for us? He'll always be talked about.
Agreed.
Especially if he drives his own to more and more success. And Bridge.
Yeah, and let's hope it is the start, Oxy. You know, where James Tavernier was talking about it in his interview, the fact that this is just the start of the journey. And he said it's the best team he's played in, and he wants them to go and win more trophies, and hopefully looking forward to the Champions League and the music and leading the team out. And Gerrard will be thinking that as well. And there's been a lot of chat about whether Gerrard will stay and will he be enticed back down south. But let's hope he's here for another few seasons and we can rack up quite a number of trophies.
So here's one for you, Bridgeman. Right?
Uh-huh.
Who was the biggest legend to play at Ibrox then? I know who I think it is.
Status-wise?
Biggest legend.
Wow, you're speaking about some fantastic players played at Ibrox.
Worldwide, the biggest legend ever to play at Ibrox.
Oh, well, I'm sure you're talking not for Rangers or anyone, anywhere.
You choose, mate.
Okay. But in my eyes, the biggest legend that I'd ever seen at Ibrox was Puskas in the Real Madrid team. And Santa Maria. Frank Sinatra, there you go. Speaking about legendary status and how it gets there, there's one player that we haven't mentioned, and I think he would deserve, in my eyes, he would deserve legendary status for what he did and how he pulled through it, and that was Ian Durrant. Ian Durrant was absolutely, completely a serious assault up at Aberdeen. It was a terrible, terrible thing that got done to him. And he managed to, with great help from Rangers, he managed to pull himself together. A lot of players couldn't have done that. They would have just accepted that's my game done. And he came back to play for the Rangers. And just for that alone, I'm not saying it was alone, I don't mean it like that. But
it was a great player for us as well.
It was a fantastic player for us, but he had a big 3 year, I think it was 3 years he was out, and then maybe nearer 4, and then come back and actually start for us again. It's just wonderful to see. So for that, I only bring it didn't have the fantastic length of time, but a big gap in between. It was.
He played for us for about
12 years, wasn't it? 14 years, right? Okay. So he was out for about 4. So he only really got 10 years. And if you follow what I mean, but even the strength of character he built up and the help and so through the help and so on and so forth to come through, I would put him in for that. I wasn't the biggest fan of Ian Durrant because of whatever. I quite liked other players. Can I just say, one of my favourite Rangers players, and you've maybe heard me saying this, and he was a true warrior, and that was Big Purzo. And I would have gave Purzo anything. He was just a wonderful player.
Yeah, but again, it was great for us won the league in 2.
But he's not a legend. He won't be a legend. He'll be a legend for me. He won't be a legend.
He was a legend at that time, mate. And
absolutely.
One leg. Absolutely. Leg, All right. Yeah. We'll carry this debate on. You all right with that? Will we carry this on? See what it takes us,
yeah? Yeah, good.
Yeah, but I still think I'm going with Frank Sinatra, Bridge.
Well, there's another one. Wait a minute, there was another one. Today. No, it was... who was it? Who was Jim Kerr? Who was he? Simple Minds?
No, we're not going with that one, mate. We're not going with that one.
I don't blame you for not going with that, but there was a big crowd there.
For obvious reasons. Yeah. All right. Okay. Right. Get yourself a mute. We're going to have a tune.
Today, forever and for always, we are Rangers through and through. Well, the legends come and the legends go, but Rangers live on just the same. For a new one's born
1972. It's your show. It's your platform. Let's hear from you.
There we go. I think we've put the cat amongst the pigeons. You know, longevity, ability. Well, I don't know. I don't really know. I think it's a fair comment on Bridget. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder, isn't it?
That's indeed, Paul. In my opinion.
Yeah. Okay, we've been joined by Port Bear. Evening, Port.
He's skipping work. He's skipping work, him.
Well, get yourself off mute, Port.
Get off!
He's not the smartest, Linda, you know what I mean?
Hey, can you hear me now?
No.
No.
Hey, how you doing anyway?
All right, mate. You're not very bright, are you? Well, don't.
Right,
Hi, Port.
to say, all right, Linda, how we doing?
Aye, fine yourself.
Very good. Oh, God. Don't know who would start this debate tonight, Oxfordshire, but I've got an opinion about, legends. I think it's a word, probably, I think you touched on earlier on, maybe too easily given out at times. But when I was talking about Tavernier earlier on, I think when you think of where he's came from, the level he played at, 6 years out on loan at all different clubs, finds a home at Rangers, and in my opinion, year on year, has improved as a player at all levels, whether it be domestically and in Europe. He became their captain when a lot of people probably doubted him, and still people maybe up until last year doubted him a captain and even a fullback. But his numbers don't tell, lies, Oxfordshire. And I think with this signing to 2024, if he can produce the same numbers, he's won us that league, he's stopped 10 in a row, 55, last 16 twice. He's not going to be far away, in my opinion, mate.
Well, if he keeps the same numbers, he'll play nearly 500-600 games, mate, which is frightening, isn't it?
It's absolutely scary, mate. Absolutely scary for a guy who I thought, and I don't mean this bad in any way, who I thought was bang average. I did when I first seen him. I thought he was bang average, but he's grown, and that tells me a lot about the man. Tells me a lot about the coaching staff and how he's developed under Steven Gerrard. And if he keeps them numbers going, mate, and gets his ninth season and gets his testimonial. Anybody gets a testimonial at a club because doing as a club legend, Oxfordshire, does that make sense? We know Ronaldo's, Messi, guys like them, they're world legends. But as a club legend...
What have we had with testimonials? John Gregg, Sandy Jardine, Tom Forsyth, Colin Jackson, Alan McDonald, Tommy McLean got one, I can't remember. Ian Ferguson, Alan McCoy, Richard Gough, Davy Cooper.
Yeah.
And Walter Smith. We've only had 10 testimonials for history. There's something for the lobby to check out. Yeah? Is that right? Am I right when I say that? And they're all close to original status as players. All their names Port Bear.
Aye, it's not by shoulders to be rubbing shoulders, not by names to be rubbing shoulders with Oxfordshire. That's all I was getting at when I meant by, your current captain. You just think back to where he was, to where he is now. And I think he'll be fondly remembered certainly in my, lifetime. He'll be a guy that I've thought, aye, and Fox has mentioned this a few times, he saved us a pretty penny because many a time we've complained about James Tavernier on here, and the guy keeps producing and getting better every year, and money's been able to be spent elsewhere.
Old Travel Rock will be the middle of the Atlantic, mate. Trying to get his captain to pull out, he gets a signal to phone in, mate.
What's that, mate? I'm saying he can use his sat phone, can't he?
Where are you in the middle of the Atlantic or are you in the Codgy?
It's because I'm using my phone, mate.
She's put him out. She's put him out.
They knock you as a crap now, aren't they?
Poor bear. Brilliant. That's brilliant.
That's my top most socks here. Club legend. He's not quite going to be a world legend, right? But he's definitely, I think, in my opinion, going to
Heading
be.
that way, mate. Aye. I mean, I did like Fox's thing. I mean, there's people, they were legendary players for us, but they didn't have longevity. Gascoigne, Laudrup, but club legends: William Wilton, Bill Struth, Scott Simon, Billy Waddle, John Gregg, Sandy Jardine, Walter Smith, Souness maybe, and then Gerrard. You know, and then you've got the guys that we talked about. We've got a guy who's playing with us now, who's Britain's most capped player. Sir Stephen Davis. Linda?
We would be hard to argue with Stephen Davis purely because of that fact as well. You know, that if you even take into consideration things that they've done internationally at the same time as their club achievement socks. And with Stephen, we were all obviously really delighted that he signed his year extension, and who knows, maybe he'll stay for another year after that. But overall, legendary status, probably you wouldn't, as I say, argue against Stephen getting that. And it's been over 2 periods at the club as well. And probably getting 55 this year has just basically cemented him as legendary status in a lot of people's eyes. But the Tavernier one, I didn't even know that he had all those different clubs before he came to us. You know, he'd been out on loan, and he'd signed contracts with different teams. So for him actually to now be in a position where he will be 9 years at the one club, I mean, he's probably really delighted at that himself too, and his family, etc.
Aye. I suppose there's a bit of luck and circumstances for you. Yeah, Linda, how it works for you, yeah?
Yeah, aye, definitely. And there'll be players that have come in, you know, over the last sort of 15 years even, Ox, that would have stayed on longer, you know, when our troubles kind of started at the end of Walter's second spell, and obviously when Ali McCoist took over as manager, you know, I was just thinking about those years down in the lower leagues, and I think maybe you mentioned before we come on air somebody like Lee Wallace. You know, is there anybody who played in those sort of years that you think, I don't even know if legendary status is the right sort of phrase for them, but we must hold some of them in quite high regard about the fact that they got us up these lower leagues.
There's two sides to that coin. If you think that they were picking up more coin per week than some of the teams we were playing against had a budget for a month, yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, one player, you know, and I don't know. Look, Lee Wallace, a man, smashing bloke. Had a great year for us in the Championship under Warburton.
Yeah.
My opinion, no the greatest fullback we've got. Smashing bloke. Two different things, yeah. And he's had a great career. He's international caps, played with Hearts, but I don't know if he was ever Rangers class, if I'm being honest. As a player, as a man, different thing. Bridge, I don't want to be too cruel to Lee Wallace, you know, but he was...
No, there's a lot of folk who feel the same as you. Half of me says the same, similar things to you. I keep going back and listening to our Travel Rug. Travel Rug's a big fan of Lee Wallace, and they thought because he stayed with us. I know he was getting a pretty penny for doing so, but he still stayed with us and showed some sort of camaraderie with the club and the rest of the players. And he carried, from a club perspective, the team. He was a club captain, and he did the business for us for a couple of years. But as time went on, not foundation of the word. He began to get injured and he couldn't get over it and so on and so forth. So certain things happened to him. He just started to fall away and fall out of favour. But for the time he was at Rangers, and the big thing about these was that they came across. So he came across showing solidarity with the club, and that For that reason alone, there's a lot of folk think he's a Rangers legend, and that's the truth. That's what they think.
I understand that. I don't quite agree with it. I think he conducted himself very well under difficult circumstances, but I don't know if he's quite a legend in my eyes. But that's what people are entitled to their opinion, Linda.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Ox, and as you say, it'll just be how people view, certain players, managers, people that work behind the scenes, and how they view what contribution they actually made to the club.
Yep. Yeah. Aye, okay. It's interesting, and and obviously the 2008 team, if they could have won that quadruple that season, we might be looking at a lot of them differently as well,
Yeah, for
Davy
sure.
Weir, great success at the back end of his career, if he'd have won that trophy that night. Barry Ferguson was the captain, and drove us on it,
Yeah.
I think we've been joined by a legend. Big Al's joined us.
I was hoping you were going to say that. Just a couple of things. John Brown, he had a testimonial against Anderlecht.
Oh, right, I forgot that. Wait a minute, I'll check that out.
No, that's right, because I got fined for when I carried it outside the stadium that day. I always remember it. And it's true, that's true. At the back of the Edmonton Club.
Good evening, Al.
Oh, how are you doing, sweetheart? How are you?
I'm good, are you?
I'm brand new, just pulling up to work. The other thing I was going to say, the legendary status thing, for me, there's two. There's obviously John Greig, and then for me, like Linda, the next legend I would put in that bracket would be Ali McCoist. That's the two for me. Now, the legendary status thing in regards to Steven Gerrard, I think we can look at this. He's what you call a legend at Liverpool with the longevity and his style of play and the things he's done for Liverpool. He's a true legend there. At Ibrox, he's not quite a legend yet. He's a man at 155. If he goes on and takes us up to 60, wins loads of more trophies, has successful teams in Europe and domestically, then he becomes a legend at our club. He's got a bit of a footnote at the moment, but I don't think he's quite a legend at Ibrox at the moment. James Tavernier, same kind of thing as well. I don't think you can call him a legend. If he stays to 2024, wins more league titles, gets better, as Port Bear's saying, then he definitely, I think, would fall in that bracket as a legendary player. But legend is very difficult. But I think we have those two on the field legends in John Greig and Ali McCoist. I think that's quite fair to say, in my eyes, obviously.
What about Sandy? What you think about in between them, Sandy Jardine?
I never really seen. I think I can remember him playing for Hearts, but I never seen him playing for Rangers. So I know what he's done for the club, but I just think he would maybe then sit third there. For me, we've got a statue at the side of the park. It's John Greig. I know we've got a stand named after Sandy Jardine, but for me, it's John Greig and Alistair McCoist, and then everybody else can fall in behind. I think what McCoy's done for the club as a player, the longevity, and as a manager, I think that all combines to make him a legend. And obviously, but
I know we weren't about Al, but we've also got to look at guys like Struther.
I think I did preface it by saying players on the park. You need to obviously go back to the Bridgeman. He'll tell us all about Struth and William Wilton and all these guys. But for me, that's just the two legends I can see. And then you have your Gascoignes, you have your Laudrups. They're players that are really impact legends, if that makes sense. They came in, done it for 2 or 3 seasons, made big impacts, are scratched in our memories and will always be heroes. But I don't know if they're legends. You know what I mean? I think also
that's a great term you used there. They were heroes for a a space of time, but they weren't legends.
Aye, and I don't think that's taking anything away for those types of players. I don't know if the I don't know. I mean, you can look at John Gregg and Alistair McCoist, and I think there you go. Even Sandy Jardine. I think if you scratch them, the bleed blue. Yeah, there are a lot of other players come in and done it for a short period of time. Never had the longevity. I'm just saying, if we look at Gerrard, how high he is held at Liverpool. Like the other day there, I was at the shops and there was a wee guy in front of me in the queue coming at the supermarket. I don't know, 10, 11, something like that. And there's a Gerrard on the back of his top, like Liverpool top on with Gerrard. That wee guy, doesn't he? He's never seen Gerrard play or that, but you know that thing goes with them into the future. I think they'll have young guys and girls in Scotland. They'll know about John Gregg. They'll know about Sandy Jardine. They'll know about Alistair McCoist. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
That kind of makes sense.
I
need to go, guys. But he's a wonderful shows. Actually, enjoyed it last night. And I'll keep listening to you when I get into the office. You have a night. Aye, no worries, guys.
Did you get that job? Did you get that job?
I spoke to him. Things are moving along nicely.
Right. You want a reference? You know where I'm at.
Well, no problem. But thanks for taking my call, guys. You have a
Cheers,
good
Al.
Good to hear you, Linda. You mean you must be around about the same age then, eh? If Mr. McCoist.
I'll
tell you what, Linda, if it goes tits up here in Australia for me, I'm going to look you up, all right?
Okay. I see.
Right, take care, gentlemen. Take care.
Oh, Linda, that's the last Linda's on the show. She's moving to Wyoming.
Right, all the best.
Bye.
Hear that. Oh, dear.
Oh, brilliant.
What a man, Bridgeman, eh?
Yes, indeed, pal. Yeah, for sure.
But then that's a fair comment. He's kept it to the minimum. You know, that's what you were saying. It's, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and it's difficult, but good subject. A good subject, and well said, Big Al. He's very articulate there, Linda. I think there's a different Big Al when you're on.
Oh, is that right?
Aye, I think so.
I think the point Al makes about heroes, the difference between heroes and legends, I think that's really quite important, isn't it? Because we've all got our heroes and we've got players that we...
Do you know the difference between heroes and legends, Linda?
Give us a definition.
You can eat heroes.
Right, Ox. I prefer celebrations myself.
Oh dear. Sorry about that. Right, okay, talking about legends, talking about real legends. I think we might be enjoying the one in a second. Evening, Robert.
Evening, Ox. Evening, Bridgeman. Evening, Linda. Listen, guys and girls, you're not listening to a legend. Good evening, Bridgeman. Linda, you're not listening to a legend, but I'll tell you one thing, you're listening to now a legend. There you go. But anyway, I need to come in. I've listened to the show for you at Falcon, and I'm telling you guys, Ox, I'm disappointed in you and Bridgeman. Not so much Linda, because she's the younger generation. I'm disappointed in you, Ox. Yes, you and Bridgeman, because you really want to know real Rangers legends, and you haven't mentioned them. Do you want to know real Rangers legends? Yes, I'll tell you real Rangers legends. A team that the 61, the 67, and the 2008 team couldn't get. The 1972, yes, the Barcelona Bears of 1972 were Rangers legends, with guys like Alex McDonald, who was my hero, Derek Johnson, who was my hero at the time, guys like Tam Forsyth, Willie Johnson, Colin Steen, and guys like that, they were Rangers legends because they done one thing that the 61, 67 and 2018 to the day, they won us a major European trophy.
Now, Robert,
And they were all...
when you come on here, you should do your homework. Did you mention Tam Forsyth there as a Barcelona Bear?
Was he not there?
Sorry, Robert. Thanks for the call. Don't be a stranger. We'll speak to you soon.
No, right. If Big Tam was a Barcelona Bear, because my memory has gone a wee bit off. You've got to remember, I'm ages with you. I'm 55, so my memory has gone a wee bit.
I'm not that age, mate. Easy, you.
Right, well, okay then, Bryce, man. But you've got to remember one thing, guys. See that team of 72, and I might get one or two players mixed up here. Most of that team, or quite a few of that team, went on to win trebles in 76 and 78, and also stopped a certain team getting their so-called 10 in a row. So that is Rangers legends to me. Just like, as you said earlier on, Mr. Stoof was a legend, and you haven't mentioned Jock Wallace, he was a legend. And you know, the biggest one of them all, he's never mentioned Bob McPhail, and many have seen Bob McPhail, maybe Bridgeman did. Bob McPhail was a Rangers legend, like Richard Gough, like Ali McCoy, like John Gregg. That's Rangers legends. And I'm sorry, guys, see the team in 2008, they won the legends because they lost the final. Rangers legends. It's not just about longevity, it's what you've done for the club. And yes, Sir Sandy Jardine was a Rangers legend, and so was Walter Smith as your manager. And honestly, see that word legend.
Yeah, go on, Robert.
See that word legend, Ox, know what gets me about that word legend? It gets passed about so much. I've heard people saying, oh, Nacho Noble was a legend, Fernando Rickson was a legend. Even my hero, Brian Laudrup, wasn't a legend. He was a legend because he was a world-class player like Paul Gascoigne. And see Jimmy Baxter, Oxford, Brisman will back me up on this. Jimmy Baxter played 18 Old Firm games and lost two out of 18 Old Firm games, and that's why I will put Jimmy Baxter in there as a Rangers legend. Because why I'll put Jimmy Baxter in there? Because we'll remember Jimmy Baxter to the day we died, because what he done against England and for Scotland, and what he done for Rangers and all that. And he was a genuine world class player, and that's the same with Laudrup and Gascoigne. They will be legends because what they done on the football park. But real Rangers legends are John Gregg, are Richard Gough, are Sir Sandy Jardine, and the Barcelona Bears. To me, that is real Rangers legends. Guys that I'll go to the grave with.
Willie Matheson was in the Barcelona Bears. Obviously, a great part of our history. Would you put him? Is he part of a legendary team, or is he a legendary player?
Well, he's probably part of a legendary team, because the team I'm talking about there is guys like Alex McDonald and Big Derek Johnson. Growing up as a boy, as I've told you this before, they were my two Rangers heroes. So Willie Matheson might know.
Big Johnson's career for the first 7 years was fairy tale stuff, wasn't it? Fairy tale stuff.
Oh, listen, was it 1970, the League Cup final when he scored when he was only 16 years of age? That alone could probably make a player a Rangers legend. Let's be honest with it. And people might say, oh, you contradict yourself, because Nacho's penalty in 2008 would make him a legend, but he wasn't a legend. But Big Derek Johnson went on to do so much more with Rangers, like the Centenary Cup final in 73, the trebles in 76 and 78, and Big Derek Johnson Derek Johnson is a Rangers legend, and he wasn't a Rangers fan. He came to Dundee and he sported United. He wasn't a Rangers fan. Well, Alex McDonald was brought up in Governor somewhere and was a Rangers fan. But Big DJ is a Rangers legend. And Sandy Jardine, no one can doubt what that man done for us. And he was a world-class right back, world-class. And what a player he was. Yes, well, and I'm glad you're giving us all the stats. What a player, and you can't doubt guys like that, what he went on to do. And even after he left the Rangers, look what he done with Hearts. He captained to Hearts, and they were very unlucky in 1986 when they were robbed out of that league title, and that was him still trying for the Rangers.
Would you say that Big Al had a great point? I'll go to Linda. I accept a lot of what Robert says, but I think a lot of these guys are heroes, no legends. I get with that, taking on Big Al's point, Linda.
Yeah, I think so, because the players that Roberts mentioned, like Sandy Jardine, John Gregg, Ali McCoist, players that have got longevity, they also win a lot of trophies as well. Robert, we're talking about, 10, 12, 15 trophies. Ali McCoist, I think, won something like 20 trophies. He broke all the goal scoring records. So they probably are real legends, but the players like Paul Gascoigne, Laudrup, they're legends to a certain extent, but maybe they fit into the sort of heroes bracket. I don't know if you would agree with that, Robert.
No, listen, but Linda, see, you're touching on, I'll forget about Gascoigne and Laudrup, because as football players they were world class and maybe they can get in that stature as being legends. But see Ali McCoist, where he is a real legend, is 27 Old Firm goals. 27 Old Firm goals to me. Not just that alone, the amount of titles and what he done for your club. And I know Ali gets this smear at he was a manager and the players that he signed, like the Kevin Kyles and all, and he didn't have a great... Ali was thrown in at the deep end, in my opinion, so I'm not going to hold that against Ali. I just love Ali as a Rangers football player, and I know people will say, and I used to say, like, taking 3 times to get Ali because he went to Sunderland and all that, but he still came and he could have left us. He was offered to go and loan to Cardiff City and all that, but Ali said no. And the Mo Johnson, Mark Gately scenario, Ali said no. Ali stuck by the Rangers, and that's what I love about Ali. Just like Big John Gregg was there for the start to the finish. And they, to me, John Gregg, Alan McCoy, Sandy Jardine, Richard Gough, people like that, to me, are real. Bob McPhail, Bill Struth, people like that, to me, are real Rangers legends, in my opinion. And the word legend does get passed about too often. And there's people that get classed as legends that are certainly not legends. And the team now... And I love James Tavernier. He's my favourite Rangers player. I love him as much as Mr. Fox does. But at this moment in time, James won the Scottish Cup. James, get us into the Champions League. James, win us a treble next year, and I'll maybe consider you a legend. But at this moment in time, you're not a legend.
You don't love him as much as Fox does, mate. You
don't. Nice man. Fox, I do love him.
On you go, Bridge.
I'm just going to say, Robert makes good sense there. But we said this at the very start of the conversations on it. It's all in the eyes of the beholder, It's what people think and what people felt when they watched these players and what emotions they had and so on and so forth. All these things live with the people, and they will always see these people as the way they see them. And other people might not see them the same as him, or the same as her. But that's the truth. It's just everybody's taste. Taste is different with everyone. So I think that some of the players that we've all said, yes, a lot of them can be just heroes if you want to call them heroes. But in my opinion, John Gregg's a hero, and he's also a legend, massive legend. Willie Waddle, massive legend.
That's my can I ask you a wee question, because you're a wee bit older than me, right? And I'm thinking of players that maybe you haven't seen one or two of these, right? But my father, my grandfather, and people that talk about them, Brisbane. People like, say, the wee Blue Devil, Alan Morton. Would you say he's a Rangers legend? The wee Prime Minister, I don't know, you might have seen the wee Prime Minister yourself, I'm not sure.
Yes, I did, yes. I never saw Alan Morton. I saw the wee Prime Minister, and I've seen all the more modern... Oh, absolutely. He was marvellous player for Rangers. He was only a part-timer too. Marvellous player for Rangers.
And also, Bridgeman, Bridgeman, guys that are way for the past, are way back again, like Willie Woodburn and Big Geordie Young, because my grandfather used to teach me about players like this. Big Willie Woodburn standing up against the English and saying, "Come on, get into these," and he was sin-dyed, as we all know. So guys like that, I have no class of name as real Rangers legends, because I'm talking about these guys, and you can talk about these guys nowadays. If they know real Rangers legends, guys that will remember to the day we go to the grave, that's the point I'm trying to make here.
Of course, in all probability, you're right. I personally never saw Willie Woodburn. I would have loved to have seen him. I've never seen him. George Young I knew about when I was a wee kid, because we used to buy George Young boots, that kind of thing. So they were big stars, but I never actually seen them. And never understood them. If I did see them, I wouldn't have known them, But the more modern,
To be fair, Bridge, you've had enough Martin's rules.
That's it. You're right there. You're right there. But no, you get to people like Johnny Hubbard, a legend for Rangers, absolute legend for Rangers. Johnny Hubbard, great penalty taker and so on and so forth. And names like Don Kitchenbrand. Some folk didn't like Don Kitchenbrand. A lot of folk did. I liked him. I wouldn't say he was a legend. I would say Johnny Hubbard's a legend.
But there's been players that I thought were fantastic. When Moles came into the team, I thought, wow, what a football player. What a guy, a skill we'd never seen before. That turn, it was just unbelievable. Negri is a finisher, but would I class him as legend? No, I wouldn't.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's everybody's taste. Everybody tastes and sees these things differently. And that's the truth. That's the truth.
I always say, see if Moles didn't get that injury against Oliver Kahn against Bayern Munich when we played them off the park that night and we hit the bar for 4 or 5 times. If Moles didn't get that injury, to me, he'd have been better than my Rangers hero, Brian Laudrup. That's how much I thought of Michael Moles. I think he would have been on to being better than Brian Laudrup, and there you go. And that's hard to say that to me.
And that particular season, mate, if we hadn't had that bit of bad luck, God knows we would have went deep in that tournament, I think, yeah?
Oh, listen, see that season. You remember that game in Munich Ox and Franz Beckenbauer? Seeing when Franz Beckenbauer turned around and said after that game, I've never seen a support like the Glasgow Rangers fans. I've never seen a support that got behind their team from the first minute to the last minute. It's the best away support I've ever seen, and that came from the world-class Franz Beckenbauer. And you know that night, B. Rod Wallace hit the underside of the bar, I don't know, a couple of times. We hit the post, and I think they not get a dubious penalty. That Giovanni Elber scored the penalty. It was dubious, and they knew themselves. Bayern Munich knew themselves that night. They were played off the park, and that injury happened to Moles against Oliver Kahn. It just we were so unlucky that night. So unlucky.
Great debate tonight, Robert. I just sprung out on anywhere, really.
Oh, Ox, can I tell you something? You've just got me. You've got my passion really come. You see the Rangers Radio, I just love it because it just brings my passion, and I go off in one, and I know, and I do apologise, guys, if I go off too much and I go on, but it's what you do. It's what you do. Oh, mate, it's
over exuberance, yes.
No, it's a 55-year-old man just talking about the club that he loves, the club that he was born in, the club that he'll die to love, and I just think, oh my God, bring on next, You've
not mentioned the boy. You've not mentioned the boy that's got 10 league winners for your part or two.
Ian Ferguson. Oh, and I knew him well. And another night I'll tell you a story about you taking Ian down the road in my car and stuff like that, and talking to him and turning up at his door with shirts and all that. Just what a player. Do you know that boy? That boy refused to sign for Liverpool for £800 a week back in the day when he was with Clyde because he wanted to go to the Glasgow Rangers, and he signed for St Mirren. They won the Scottish Cup in 1987 because his dream was to sign for the Glasgow Rangers, and he got that dream. And do you know what? What a player! And there's another Rangers legend.
A gentleman as well. A gentleman.
Oh,
there are many of them for many reasons, many reasons. But people have them and they believe in them, and that's what they see, and that's what they think. And we ain't going to change it. A lot of folk on here have got different ideas on who's legendary. Aye, absolutely.
When somebody's looking at stats and you put Tavernier stats up and they're better than Jim Baxter's.
Yeah, incredible, just incredible. But I have to say this, and the one that we haven't actually spoke about too much, other than the last few minutes I was mentioned, but we haven't spoken too much about young Derek Johnson, 16-year-old in the League Cup final, scoring a goal against Celtic. Unbelievable stuff. Just fantastic. And went on to be a wonderful player for Rangers and a long servant. And
you think about it, Bridge, 2 years later, he was playing at a different position in a European final.
No, the guy was tremendous, just absolutely, utterly tremendous. And young man went through his whole career and wanted to play for the Rangers. And in my opinion, that's all he wanted to play for, the Rangers.
And you know what, Bridge? Do you know what? He never taken penalties. That's the joke he always makes about him and Super Ali. He never taken penalties. And see, if he did take penalties, how many goals would he want to score? Big Derek Johnson. As I say, as a young boy, Bridget, him and Alex McDonald, it was a toss-up between him and Alex McDonald, who was my Rangers hero as a small boy.
You're very honest, Big Derek, but very honest, Big Derek. He said the 12 yards was too far out for him.
But can I ask a wee quick question here?
Yes, on you.
Can I ask a wee quick question to you, Bridge and Linda? And I don't think you have mentioned this guy tonight, and he might not be a Rangers legend, but I'd like to know your three opinions. Is David Cooper a Rangers legend?
Well, he had longevity ways, didn't he? I mean, he won the league, if you like, in, obviously in Big Jock Wallace's time in 78.
Yeah.
Won the treble, part of that treble winning time, and then he's still there for Souness for what, 3 years? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he won on and won the cup with Motherwell. I think he's a legendary footballer, Cooper, as an entertainer. His longevity would put him up there, and he's one of the few, about the dozen approximately. I've not checked that out yet, but John Brown did have a testimonial 2001 against Anderlecht. I don't know why I forgot about that, but there's only about a dozen had testimonials, and he's one of them, mate. So, due to the fact he's had a testimonial, yes.
Yeah. So can I ask you a wee question? Is it maybe David Cooper's problem was he played in the Rangers team at the wrong era? Is that maybe? I know 78 when he came into the team, they signed him for Clydebank, and you and Brisbane will remember it. 10 odds 3 games to beat Clydebank in the Scottish Cup, and that's why we signed him for £100,000. But was it maybe David Cooper came into Rangers team at the wrong time? And when I say that, how can any player come into a Rangers team at the wrong time? Never in a million years. But was that maybe David Cooper's problem that he came in and it was a lot of barring years ago? I remember him scoring Scottish Cup goals against Dundee United, etc.
When Cooper came in, I'm trying to remember now, and I've not checked this out, Robert, because you think about it, we won 5 out of the first 6 trophies that was available. Yeah? Fixtures congestion cost us the league that season as well. We got to the quarterfinals. The
European Cup.
Big DJ got injured and we couldn't play him against Cologne. Then we lost the league, which had been back-to-back trebles, and then I think we won the League Cup in 1980, and they checked that in against Dundee United. So they won quite a few trophies quite early. Then we had a bad spell in the early 80s, and then, lo and behold, they had a new lease of life under Graham Souness, and arguably played his best football in 1986. Linda?
Yeah, we had him in our 80s team, Robert. The shows that we did last week, Southside and he was one of the first names on our paper. We were delighted that we could get him in. As Ox says, I think, when we looked into it, it was the 78, the treble, and then the sort of the years, the early 80s, we didn't win very much, but we did manage a few cups. And then obviously later on, he had some fantastic numbers under Souness's first couple of seasons. So I would say that, possibly, David Cooper is a legend.
Yeah, and Linda, see one thing I always remember, David Cooper had Brian Laudrup's pace. He'd have been unstoppable. He'd have been just a world class. And Ruud Gullit said he was the best player he ever played against. And Oxtear, think about this, because you're good with memories and all that. I remember them down to Kilmarnock, and I keep forgetting about this start, and I keep forgetting. But I'm sure I went down to Kilmarnock on a horrible Tuesday or Wednesday night. As all Rangers fans do, we follow our team, right? And I'm sure David Cooper scored 4 goals in one game down at Kilmarnock. I could be wrong, but I'm sure he scored 4 goals, and he just was unplayable. And I was young at the time, but I always remember David Cooper, and it was definitely at Kilmarnock. He either scored 4 or he set up 4, but I'm sure he scored 4.
I remember we beat Kilmarnock 8-0.
No, that was the game. That was the game they had a young goalkeeper in, and Sandy Jardine, and that scored. I remember that. I was at that game as well. That was a Saturday afternoon. I'm sure we beat them 8-0.
Colin McAdam was new to the team, I think.
Yeah. No, that's not the game I'm talking about. So I was at a game down in Rugby Park. I'm sure it was a Tuesday or Wednesday night, and my memory keeps getting mixed up with this game. And I'm sure he scored 4 goals.
I'll see what I can do for you.
Will you do me a favour and look that up? No for the night, but could you maybe look that up, Ox, and put it on the feed or something in the next couple of shows? Because I'm sure David Cooper done that, and I always compare. No, why I'm asking this question. I always compare it to the Brian Laudrup Cup final when Gordon Jury got a hat trick, but Brian Laudrup was man of the match. The Scottish Cup final against Hearts, we won 5-1, and I always compare David Cooper's performance against Kilmarnock. And I know it was only a league game and Brian Laudrup done it in the cup final, but to me, I never can get my mind. I was only young at the time, and I went down to the game, and I'm sure he scored 4 goals, and Rangers won like 4 or 5-0 or whatever it was, and it was a horrible night down at Rugby Park.
All right. By the way, I just can't believe this is took us a night. But what I also want to say is it's hard to believe that it was 28 years ago today that we had a chance to get the European Cup final if we got another goal in Marseille. Bridgeman, where's the time went?
I think I've added on my age. I think I've added on my age. Time's just going on and on and on. 25 years ago, unbelievable.
28
years ago, sorry. Well, just, it really and truly, it makes time just disappear, You can't be smaller in your mind, but it's really big. 28 years ago, Jesus.
No, that was ultimately, it was a great feat, but it was ultimately a disappointment. One more goal that night, Linda, and we were there. First Champions League final.
Yeah, what a campaign that was, Ox, wasn't it? 92-93. It was. Am I right in saying that was the first year of the new style Champions League?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was still basically restricted to champions of the domestic leagues as well, wasn't it?
Correct.
Aye, and it was just unbelievable. Obviously, that was the Battle of Britain to get us into the group stages. And it was really, from what I remember, it was really exciting because it was that new format and we were, the first Scottish team to play in it. And I don't know if back then at that time the teams were a bit more evenly matched. You probably would have had a chance to maybe get to a final then. Possibly not even in terms of revenue, but I thought we had a terrific team at that point. And was the Marseille games, Durant scored, didn't he? Did he score the equaliser in that 1-1 game? And if, as you say, a win would have actually taken us through to the final. But yeah, that was a fantastic campaign. Really enjoyed that.
Here we go, Robert. Here we go. 1992-83 season. Cooper scored his first hat-trick for Rangers in a sectional League Cup tie against Kilmarnock.
Oh, there you go. I knew I remember the game so well, but I just couldn't remember the result. It just was exceptional that night, absolutely exceptional. Thanks for that, Ox. But see that we are talking about 92-93 in that Champions League. Don't forget, guys, it was a Rangers man that got that format into what it was, the Champions League. Campbell Ogilvie suggested that Champions League format, and that's how it happened. And Rangers done so well that season. That was the season we went 44 games undefeated, won the treble. What a Rangers team that was. Possibly the best Rangers team I've seen in my lifetime, because 72 I was a wee bit young. But see that season, Marseille, remember the game at Ibrox, 2 each? We were 2-0 down, and Rangers had about 5 or 6 of their first team players all missing through injury, and we came back, big Mark Caitlin, and Durant, and these guys like Rudy Villa, Alan Boxic, the wee guy Pele, and probably half the French team in their lineup, and Rangers came back to get a draw, and when they were cheating, yes, this is what gets my back up. Rangers were cheated out a European Cup final that season, and see if we had got into that final against AC Milan, Rangers would have won it, because that Rangers team with Stuart and McCollum, David Robertson and Goff and Brown and Gorham just didn't know how to lose that season. If we had gone to the final, we would have beat AC Milan. If you remember, hindsight, Basil Boli scored the winner for Marseille, and Basil Boli ended up being a Rangers player.
Aye, did actually. Aye, we were so close yet so far, Bridgeman,
Oh, that was a great team that he's talking about, and the era was a marvellous time as well for Rangers. But seriously, I can't say it open enough. Rangers, had a tremendous side. If you look at the names that Robert just mentioned there, defensively and midfield, great midfield players. They knew how to play the ball from the back out if they wanted to. And they really did know how to play football. Really, really clever people. And they knew how to defend. And they could defend really, really tough as well. And that's what carried them forward. And I'm hoping that our Rangers team of the now could look at some of the old film and understand what it is to play in a European tie, a big European tie like the last one we had there, and defend, really defend. I know they're good, don't get me wrong, they take nothing away from them, but sometimes I look back and I think, my goodness gracious, we're looking for a killer. We'll go to it.
Brisbane, see me look at that 92-93 team and you look at the present team, seeing midfield, and they might be slightly different, but seeing me Stephen Davis, the wee general, or wee Pirlo, see a lot of wee Stuart McCall, and the wee unsung hero, Stuarty McCall. I just think he was a fabulous Rangers player and he doesn't get enough credit. And he covered every blade of grass. And I just see that in me, Sir Stephen Davis nowadays. I see the comparisons and I just think McCall and Davis, that's what you call Rangers football players. That's what you call players, guys that play for the shirt. I love guys like that in my team.
Won a lot of ball. Won a lot of ball, Stuart McCall. Won a lot of ball, seriously. Tremendous.
Brisbane, how good was he? Because we signed him for Everton, when we let Trevor Steven go, we signed Stuart McCall, and then, ironically, we get Trevor Steven back a year later. But see Stuart McCall, I just fought for the 5, 6, 7 years of Rangers.
I don't think Stuart McCall, was he in the 92-93 team? Aye, wasn't he? Aye, I'm trying to remember.
Aye. No, I'm sure he was. I'm sure he was.
Ian Ferguson and McCall, was it? Ian Ferguson, McCall. I'm trying to get the team up. My page will know. Aye, great memories. Durant scored a fabulous goal. I don't know if you remember that night, Linda, but he scored an absolute fabulous goal. And when I went in, I thought, here we go. There's only one winner here. And there was, they were hanging on at the end of the fridge.
Yeah, that's right. Ox was it the right outside his right foot, wasn't it? He cut right across it. I went into the bottom left-hand corner, and Durant scored a few goals in that campaign. And as Bridge mentioned earlier on, he came back from that cruciate injury, and I know that we'll never know how good he would have been, Ian Durant, but that particular season he lit up that tournament. And we were all thinking if we could just get that win, because I think if we'd obviously got the win, we would have been in the final. I think that would have been enough, because we drew the last game, but they won their game anyway, didn't they, Marseille? So the last game didn't really matter. I think it was 0-0. But there was a great feeling about that time, and some of us obviously would never experienced a European final or anything, and we'd heard about teams of the past, and we were thinking, imagine if we got to the European Cup final, the Champions League. It was a real shame, and I think they all think it was a big opportunity missed, I think, when you hear them talking about it.
It was ultimately a disappointment, but it's a season that will go down, as we've mentioned the word. It was a legendary season. Bridge, then Robert.
Legendary right enough, pal. Legendary right enough. What a great season it was. That's the truth, and so disappointing how it ended up in the European game. But as Linda said there about Durant scoring with the outside of his foot. Just that guy could play football like a lot of folk just hadn't seen. The way he ghosted through, and just wondered when he could put that wee bit side on the ball and the way it would go. I thought he was a fabulous wee player, just a fab. There was many Rangers players were great players, but Durant was a special one. In my opinion, he was very special, and he could do things. But for all the team to go that far in Europe and then to get cheated, it's shall we say, some of that's still going on. The cheating's still going on. I'm convinced of it. There's not much we can do about it, but I'm convinced it's happening. Convinced of it. But yeah, great team, great season, and very unlucky for these things to happen to us. Just very unlucky.
And Brisbane, you talk about Ian Durant. Let's be honest about it, and it still really galls me and hurts me to the bottom of my stomach to this day. that tackle hadn't happened in, was it 1987 or whatever, 88, against that Rat Simpson, that tackle hadn't happened, Ian Durrant would have went on to be a world-class player, because that's how good he was. The young Durrant was fantastic. But you know what, see that 92-93 season, see the legendary thing with that whole season, is Big Nizzy's goal against Bruce. Big Nizzy's goal against Bruce. There you go. And that makes me chuckle, and it makes every Rangers fan in the world chuckle. Big Nizzy in a divot, in a golf course, Big Nizzy in a divot. It bounced over the goalkeeper's head, and that was the best goal we scored in that European
legendary,
campaign.
Robert, legendary.
Yeah, we're talking about legends tonight. Big Nizzy's a legend for that goal alone.
There's a sad tale to that, isn't there? That was his last game.
You're right. It was his last game, and
he broke the next game against them on the Saturday. He broke down, and that was the end of his career. Quite sad, really.
Yeah, and also, can I just say one thing? And I've got to say, a few of our Rangers fans will agree with me. Big Nizzy, I know you can feel a lot, and if you listen to this programme, because I'm sure you deal with all Rangers ex-players and Rangers players and fans. If you listen to this programme, Rangers Radio, Nizzy, we wish you all the best, mate, and hope you're doing well.
Yeah. We do seriously wish him all the best, and you never know. You maybe see him on the show one night. You never know.
Oh, please do it.
You know, but listen, Robert, thanks for your call, mate. It was been really good, mate. We're just going to be winding up. It was great to hear from you, and I'm glad that the legendary thing pulled people in, got us talking, get a bit of debate. It was healthy debate, Robert. Oh, you're breaking up, Robert. Bridgeman, can you come, mate? We good debate tonight, didn't we?
What a superb programme, and brilliant debate. Everybody had their chance to say what they wanted to say, and it was just wonderful to hear it all. And different. Sometimes people put a different slant on things, as you maybe. I've got it stuck in my brain. And this, that, and the next thing happened, and sometimes you're a wee bit wrong, you know. But seriously, a wonderful programme.
Google's your friend, Bruce. Google's your friend.
But no, it's just great. It really is a really, really good night tonight. Magic. Well done, Paul.
Are you with us, Robert? You back with us? You working?
Can you hear me, pal? Yeah.
We can hear you now, mate.
Yeah, just to finally say, thanks a lot for yourself, Bridgeman and London. What a wonderful show, and thanks to Rangers Radio, because you just get my juicy phone, guys. I've just got to say, you get my juicy phone. Anything about the Rangers is just superb, and love the show. And I look forward to the weekend, and I'll make a wee prediction at the weekend. Rangers 3, Hibs 0, but I'll take a Bridgeman 1-0.
Yeah. Well said, Robert. Take it on the night. Linda, I think the guy who stole the show tonight was Ian, eh?
Oh, yeah, it was a fantastic call from Ian. You know, he had some great comments to make, and as Bridge said earlier, it's nice to know that, you know, there's a platform here in terms of Rangers Radio, and it gives people, you know, a bit of interest, and it's something to look forward to, Ox. And yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. He was all in the night, was Ian.
Here. Well, Bridgeman, it's over to you, mate. We've reached that time of the evening. Come on from you, Bridge.
Yes, pal, I'm here. What can I say? Well, I said it just a minute. I got a wonderful night, absolutely wonderful night. So, well done to Linda, well done to yourself, well done to the boys in the background. Seriously, can I just say to all the Rangers fans all over the world, in particular Rangers fans on here on Rangers Radio, every single one of us, what a great night tonight we've had. Everybody keep it going for the Rangers, because the Rangers need us always. Keep it going.
Can I say thanks to everybody that called in tonight? Port and Gary for joining us. Ian, Robert, Big Al. It was great to hear from each and every one. Thanks to Bridge and Linda for helping us out with the show. And of course, Fox and Old School Blue. Fox for coming in. And the boys for doing the technicals in the background. This has been Rangers Radio. We'll be back tomorrow night. We'll be joined by one and only Big Stevie. Stay safe, everybody, and get your hair cut for tomorrow. Take it away, Old School Blue.